Thank you very much for attending this webinar. For the upcoming 20 minutes, we will focus on probiotics clinically studied for mental well-being. A report from Euromonitor at the beginning of the year, right before the pandemic outbreak, showed that mental well-being was cited as the top meaning of health across all generations. Over 50% of global consumers reported to suffer from moderate, high, or extreme stress. And this figure even exceeded 60% in working-age people. This report also revealed that consumers are seeking a more holistic approach to healthy living. Even more recently, in the second half of 2020, a FMCG Guru's report among consumers already using supplements showed that globally over 50% of these consumers want to improve their cognitive or mental well-being by using nutritional supplements. And 40% of them cited to sleep better as one of the targets to improve through supplements. The WHO some years ago ranked depression as the third cause of burden of disease worldwide, and it was expected to become the first one by 2030, within 10 years. The problem with depression is also that consumers are wary of taking antidepressants because of the side effects and stigma. So, psychobiotics, which are defined as live microorganisms that, when ingested in adequate amounts, produce a health benefit in patients suffering from psychiatric illness, could show promise as an alternative therapy in anxiety and depression, as well as other mental disorders. The role of the microbiota in the gut-brain axis is now established, although we are still at the beginning of describing these relationships. We now know that 90% of serotonin comes from the gut, and that brain neurotransmitters, including dopamine, are affected by our gut microbes. We know that low-grade chronic inflammation and neuroinflammation are key underlying factors for depression, and that while the modern way of life disturbs the symbiosis, probiotics could be one of the ways to restore it. The mechanisms of action of the gut-brain axis, while they are still being elucidated by scientists in the details, have already been described, and they include direct communication through the vagus nerve. They include the production of endocrine signals, of neurotransmitters and their precursors, and of immunomodulation, so through the induction of pro-inflammatory or anti-inflammatory cytokines, we can also affect the gut-brain axis. A report from Lumina Intelligence shows that 2/3 of probiotics on the market of food supplements fail to declare the probiotic strains included in the product. And this is important because different strains, even among the same species, present different properties, including at the level of cytokine modulation, for example, which is interesting in the gut-brain axis. So it's important to choose a probiotic that has been studied for the mental well-being at the level of the strains themselves. This is what we did at Probiotical when we went on to select bacteria with a potential for the gut-brain axis based on their preclinical in vitro and in silico properties. We looked for synergistic or complementary activity, including the presence of the genome of Plantarum LPO1, of genes coding for the production of gamma aminobutyric acid, the main inhibitory neurotransmitter in the human central nervous system. Other strains, the Plantarum and Fermentum and Rotari, and Rhamnosus, also exert antimycotic and antibacterial activity against Candida and against E. coli in particular, which can be more abundant in cases of depression and which are also related to higher inflammation. More directly, 3 of the 4 strains in the blend exert anti-inflammatory activity, so they are able to induce anti-inflammatory cytokines and reduce pro-inflammatory cytokines. And 2 strains in the product, Plantarum and Rhamnosus, are also able to protect and restore the membrane integrity. So in a trans-epithelial electrical resistance model, both strains were able to protect and reestablish the gut membrane integrity at 100% after the challenge. So we put together these 4 strains in a combination, a product called Bifizen, and we went on to the clinical setting in a collaboration with the University of Verona, with Microbiome, Bussola Labs, Probiotical, and Biolab for the release analysis and stability testing. The 4 strains were given at a concentration of 4 billion CFU or AFU when measured by flow cytometry per day for 6 weeks. And the participants, 38 healthy students, underwent a battery of tests, of psychological and quality of sleep tests, at T0 prior to the supplementation, at T1 after 3 weeks of supplementation, at T2 after 6 weeks, and then again at T3 after 3 weeks of washout after discontinuing the supplementation. The battery of questionnaires that they answered related to mood, with 4 validated questionnaires on cognitive reactivity to sad moods, depression, and anxiety, but also to personality, with a temperament and character inventory, cope orientation to the problems experienced, and behavioral tests, as well as the life orientation test. And lastly, sleep quality index, measured by the Pittsburgh Sleep Quality. This is where it gets really interesting and really impressive. We observed that as soon as 3 weeks of supplementation, we already had significant results with improvement of depression, of anger, and of fatigue. These results were even deepened after 6 weeks of supplementation, and quite interestingly, even after the 3 weeks of washout, they were even prolonged and deepened, which points to a possible colonization of the probiotics, or at least long-term benefits. In addition, the sleep quality was also improved significantly after 6 weeks, and this result is coherent with the depression, anger, and fatigue results, since there is a strong correlation between sleep quality and mood, as was previously described. With regards to the parameters of personality and character, on the other hand, we didn't see any significant or consistent effects from the probiotics. So while it appears that probiotics can improve mood and sleep, they did not, in this study, affect the core of who we are, of our personality. Probiotical's R&D director, Dr. Marco Pane, said that these are strong and exciting findings because the probiotics intake managed to significantly and consistently improve several aspects of mood and sleep in a young and healthy population, which is important because the young and healthy population is among the most resilient population possible. This means that even though the students were healthy at baseline, they didn't have any mood issues or low levels, they still managed to improve consistently their mood in this study. These results did not only get Probiotical excited, but also the media, who picked up the news and shared the excitement around the possibility of probiotics to improve the quality of sleep and of mood. And this is not the end of the journey. The study was conducted also with fecal sampling to run microbiota analysis, and the results revealed that the probiotic group was characterized by higher levels of Akkermansia, which seems to be a positive outcome as it is associated with lean weight and healthy gut barrier. The probiotics group also had higher rhamnosus levels and biodiversity. These results are expected to come into publication towards the end of 2020 or beginning of 2021. And we are also conducting further studies to replicate these results in healthy population and in population with major depression too. Expecting that if we already manage to improve the health of healthy people, we could even more improve the levels for people starting from a lower starting point. So based on these results and the consumer's expectations for holistic solutions, at Probiotical we created a line of 5 products focusing on the whole family and the different aspects of mental health. Bifizen Stress, the first of this line, is shown to reduce anger and is based on Bifizen for its ability to reduce anger, and the combination with ashwagandha documented for a reduction of cortisol and stress and anxiety and depression, altogether combined with vitamin B8 because of the claim contributes to normal functioning of the nervous system and to normal psychological function. Second of these products is Bifizen Focus, which is also an association of Bifizen with ashwagandha. Sorry, waiting to realign with the slides. So Bifizen Focus is also the association of Bifizen with ashwagandha, in this case focusing more on the studies behind ashwagandha that show increase of memory, attention, executive functions, and processes of information elaboration. Ashwagandha is also able to improve significantly the quality of sleep and mental alertness in elderly people. And together with these 2 actives, we associated vitamin B5, which contributes to normal mental performance and to the reduction of tiredness and fatigue. The third product is Bifizen Night, meant to be taken before going to bed because it associates Bifizen for its property to improve quality of sleep with melatonin, which contributes to the reduction of time to fall asleep and to the alleviation of subjective feelings of jet lag, and to vitamin B12, which also contributes to the reduction of tiredness and fatigue. So this product should be taken about half an hour before going to bed. The fourth product is Bifizen Age Well, which is targeted to seniors or pre-seniors who want to fight against age-related cognitive decline. It's based again on Bifizen and the association with alpha-GPC, which is a precursor of phosphatidylcholine, which increases the release of acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter involved in cognitive functions such as memory and attention. It significantly improved mental and cognitive function in patients with Alzheimer's and also showed neuroprotective action in animals. It was put together with zinc, which contributes also to normal cognitive function. And the last product is Bifizen Kids, which is targeted to prevention of autism and ADHD, based on Bifizen for the improvement of mood, anger, and sensibility to depression, as well as sleep quality, and Lactobacillus rhamnosus GG, which was shown to prevent the development of autism and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder when taken by the mothers in pregnancy and by babies after birth. And we saw an effect at 13 years after in the follow-up. These probiotics were associated with Passiflora incarnata, which is backed by a clinical study in which it was compared with the standard of care, a drug, and was able to show an effectiveness as strong as the drug in decreasing the symptoms of ADHD by more than half, but it showed much less side effects than the drug. The advantage of Probiotical in this range is that we already tested the compatibility of the different actives with the strains, so we can propose these products in different dosage forms in which the probiotics are in contact with the other actives and still guarantee a shelf life of 24 months at 25 degrees. Here is a sum up of the different claims that back the products. And to finish, a quick introduction about Probiotical. We are an Italian family company, now at the 4th generation. We were founded in 1985, 35 years ago, and always dedicated to probiotics for the nutraceutical and pharmaceutical industries. We are based and grounded on an advanced research center for probiotics and an internal collection of over 2,000 different strains. In production, we also have over 60 different strains which are studied in about 20 different functionalities. So we're also very strong when it comes to building a range which is science-backed. We developed and deposited over 70 families of patents for probiotics, and an important point that describes the company is that we are one of the very few companies vertically integrated from the selection of the strain all the way to the study of the strain and the finished product with extensive experience in stability, including the middle steps of fermentation and freeze drying, of course. Then are a few pictures of our production and our quality. Before that, we go to research and patents. So our 20 functionalities cover the classics of gastrointestinal health: constipation, diarrhea, IBS, gaseous colic for infants, gastric barrier, to skin health with atopic dermatitis and acne. Also, we have some studies in immune defenses for the prevention of winter diseases, and in the sector of allergy with studies in allergic rhinitis and now also in asthma. In metabolic health, we have strains able to lower cholesterol and strains studied for their antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties, which also can show benefits in healthy aging. And we are now finalizing a clinical study on 100 children with obesity and prediabetes, showing benefits of bifidobacteria. Sports performance also is one of our targets with a study in athletes. And in women's health, we have studies regarding probiotics able to fight infection like vaginal candida and bacterial vaginosis, cystitis, oxalates degradation more towards kidney health, but also men's health with prostate